Welcome to Think Big with Michael Zellner, powered by Platinum Jewelers. My guest today on episode 117 is Jessica Brown. Jessica is a real estate broker with REMAX Experts and sells homes all over Memphis and the Mid-South area, including North Mississippi too. Starting at the very early age of 10 years old, she has been selling for about 20 years in the Memphis area. She graduated from Christian Brothers University with a Bachelor of Science in Accountancy and got a master's in taxation from the University of Memphis. She's also a member of multi-million dollar clubs and consistently one of the top agents in the Memphis area each year. And we're going to hear a little bit about how she does that today. Thanks for joining me today, Jessica.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on.
My pleasure. Me too. So we're definitely going to talk about your work ethic today because it's truly incredible. But what are a few of the hobbies and some things you enjoy doing in your rare time, when you're not working?
So as you know, we recently adopted a dog. His name is Dior. And so we got him just outside of Little Rock. So he's a white German Shepherd and he's a year and a half old and he has tons of energy. So we do a lot of walking with him. He is obsessed with balls. So we'll throw the ball.
Nice.
And then me and my husband, we like to work out together. So we do Orange Theory on some mornings, and then some mornings we work out with a personal trainer. And then we typically come home and walk with the dog after that. And then in the rare occasion that we can make it to Pickwick on a weekend, we enjoy going to Pickwick and kind of hanging out like on the boat and on the water. So hopefully Dior will enjoy that as well. So we'll see once we can make time to get there. And then sometimes, we like to travel. So that's always something that we try to, have a trip planned for each year.
Yeah, I understand that you guys have been on a lot of fun trips and that you also like to play golf too.
I do. Well, I'm trying to learn to play golf. My husband grew up playing golf, so he's really good at it and has been swinging a club probably from the time he could walk.
Wow.
Um, Me, I just started a little bit ago, so I'm working on it. We did win couples club champions in Southwind. I think that was in 2018, 2019. I can't remember.
Wow.
So we're trying to work on getting that title back.
Awesome. You grew up in Memphis and you went to Bolton High School. What are a few of your best memories of your childhood years that just make you smile when you think about them today?
So growing up, I mean, I had, really like kind of a normal upbringing. I was fortunate. My parents were not divorced. Although I did used to tell my parents I wish they were divorced because that way I could have two households and two sets
Nice.
of clothes and two sets of everything. So my mother reminded me that I told her that once upon a time when I was younger. Um, pretty like normal upbringing, great family, very normal, grew up in the church, grew up in the Baptist church. So going to church every Sunday and Wednesday night and church trips and that kind of thing. Had some close knit friends from high school. Bolton, we used to go mudding in high school. So, I think my husband grew up in the country clubs and I grew up like mudding. So
That's funny.
little bit different.
I just noticed you got your braces off.
I did like yesterday.
Oh, they look great. I was like,
So yeah.
something's different, something's different. I was like, that's what it is. So congratulations
Well,
on
that's funny. Yeah. Trainer did not notice that yesterday.
that. That's funny.
So yeah.
Well, you look great.
Thank you.
With those degrees you received from CBU in Memphis, you went to work for Price Waterhouse Coopers LLP CPA. How did you enjoy, practicing as a CPA in your early to mid 20s?
I loved it. We had so much fun. Those are still some of my best friends that, I see on a regular basis. Even my old tax partner, like his wife and I still hang out. She'll have wine time at her house. She doesn't live that far from me. Um, so yeah, we had a lot of fun. And everybody kind of thinks that's a really far cry from being an accountant, but honestly, kind of growing, through like that career, you're groomed to sell projects basically. So we were going out and selling tax projects to people. So it's not that different really. Kind of making presentations and thinking of ways to save people money. And so it was kind of it wasn't that crazy of a transition, even though people kind of think it sounds like it is.
Right. Your uncle was a big home builder in South Haven while you were growing up. Your mom worked there, and you ended up working there. What was that feeling like for you when your uncle gave you your first opportunity, to sell some of the homes the company had been building?
Well, I first of all, I swore I was never going to be in that business. I always had to work. I mean, from the time I could walk. So every summer, I didn't really have a choice. So up until the time I could drive, I would work there at like my uncle's shop doing, like I started off like cleaning floors and just like the worst of the worst jobs. And then, as I got older, kind of started doing like job costing and different things like that for the building. My mom's always kind of done like his financial stuff. So she's really good with numbers. And so I think that's kind of where I get that piece of my personality from.
Right.
But then from the time I could drive, I was like, I am not working here anymore. So, kind of went out and did my own like summer jobs for several years. And then obviously went to college and kind of did my own thing and had my own career. And he just kept calling and trying to get me over there, and finally lured me into, he had a real estate company. And so I started off working for that real estate company and doing the books and just kind of like handling a lot of the issues for the other agents. So it was a great experience.
Nice. You've been working with Remax for many years now. I would say at least since 2006 that I'm aware of, maybe even before that. And you've been selling real estate for 20 years. As successful as you've been, you've probably could have gone out on your own and started your own company at some point in time. You haven't. You've been very dedicated and loyal. What is it about Remax and the people you work with that's so special to you?
Remax is amazing. I guess to go back on like starting your own company, running my uncle's company. I just saw the financials and like how that worked. He basically generated his own listings for the agents because he built houses. And so a lot of that money from those listings that he would generate would stay in-house and help pay the bills for the company. And here in Memphis, we have pretty competitive splits as far as from, a good agent is going to keep a good portion of their commission. So I never really had any desire. I don't know that it's that profitable to be the owner of a real estate company. I guess it depends on how your splits are set up, but that was just like never really in my, been something that my heart ever desired to do. And then I used to, kind of babysit all those agents from way back in the day. And as the owner, especially as the owner broker, I always tell my broker, I'm like, it's like herding cats. And like, I don't know how you do this. It's adult daycare is what it is. So that's not really on my agenda. I enjoy selling. And so I like to be out in the field and kind of doing my own thing. But at Remax, we have a great office. We've got a lot of top producers. Even though, we're competitors in a way. Most people are kind of working their own sphere of influence, getting past client referrals. And so in some ways we might compete and overlap a little bit, but not really. We kind of all, have our own business that we kind of, have, that comes to us, from our own like database sources. So it's a great office. Like I can go to people in my office. Like if I need somebody to show a house to one of my clients, they will. If if somebody needs me to show a house while they're out of town. So it's a great group and it's top producers. And so it's so nice to not, just be in like a normal office. Like sometimes people will come in and you just get a lot of negative energy. Like if they're not selling homes and And so it's, just a great office, great staff. And I've really just enjoyed it, and great owner too. So we just got back from a Remax convention in Vegas and had a lot of
Nice.
fun. So,
Speaking of people that you work with, Remax broker Audrey Davis said this
uh,
about you. Quote, she's a spreadsheet guru, data analyzes everything. She takes professionalism to another level. She's a workaholic and has the desire to do right by her clients. And she's one of the smartest, most hard-headed people I work with because she needs to hire help, unquote. I told her that I understood that last part because when I was a business owner, it took me, a long time to finally delegate things to other people because, I wanted to make sure it was done right. I eventually did, and I had some great salespeople that worked for me. Two-part question. First of all, tell us about Audrey and the relationship with her. And second, are you just that take charge type of person that wants to make sure, that you get things done and done right?
I do. So Audrey, well, that was kind of Audrey because she always tells me I'm her problem child a lot in her office. And I'll go in there and she's like, just tell your husband to call me. I'll get with your husband. So she
That's funny.
obviously loves my husband, thinks he hung the moon. But no, Audrey's awesome. She's great to work with. Always there if I have questions or, need any help. And, she's kind of like the, I don't know, leader at the helm of the office. So without her, nothing really happens there. So she's great. And then what was the other
How
part
about,
of your?
not wanting to
Oh,
hire people and, doing it your own?
yeah, yeah. Well, and I do. I do actually have. I mean, I've got one of my people just retired this year, and then I do work with Elizabeth Gant a lot in my office, and so she's really awesome and can kind of help out. And like I said, we kind of help out with each other's clients. Um, so I do have a little bit of help. I probably could let go of a few more details,
It's
but
hard to do that
that's
sometimes.
it
It's
is.
hard. I know.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I had a very difficult time doing it, but eventually you do it and then you're happy that you did it. So
Yeah.
it eventually that will happen for you. You'll give up a little bit more and more and it'll get better.
Are you shopping for a new watch, an engagement ring, any kind of jewelry at all? What's up, Memphis? This is Jaron Jackson Jr. from the Grizzlies, encouraging you all to shop where I shop, Platinum Jewelers here in Memphis. Platinum Jewelers has a big selection of earrings, stockable rings, luxury watches, necklaces, bracelets, really whenever you need. 9387 Poplar next to Fresh Market in Germantown. So if you need anything jewelry related, go to my spot, Platinum Jewelers.
You said, quote, my goal as a listing agent is to help you sell your home for the highest price in the shortest period of time with the least amount of inconvenience to you, unquote. How have you been able to do that for your clients?
So right now in this market, pricing is going to be really important. So again, just kind of like Audrey said, I study the market, like I study the numbers. I'm kind of a nerd. I watch, the job statistics and the housing reports that come out. Like I was looking at some National Association of Realtors research this morning, just kind of like making some revisions to like some of my marketing materials. So I definitely analyze the numbers, and I think market data and just knowing what the market's doing and kind of staying on top of the market and making sure that you're priced properly is going to be key. And then the other things that kind of factor into that are going to be obviously like, location of the house. You can't change that. Condition of the house. You can change it. Does that make financial sense to change it or not? So just kind of having like all those conversations with clients up front and communicating with them exactly what it is that they need to do to get their home sold, and making sure that we can, meet their goals and make sure that everything makes sense. Like in this market, if you're selling and buying, you really have to look at numbers on both sides and just make sure that everything kind of makes financial sense. And then how are we structuring that? So
Buying a home, it can be really stressful and anxious, for someone. One of your clients, Corey, said, quote, it was wonderful working with you and Teresa. You took what had been a very stressful situation for me and lifted the weight of the world off my shoulders. I can't thank you enough. I've already passed your information on along to my mom, my sister, and my best friend who all still live in the Memphis area, unquote. What are some of the things that you do, to make the life of your client easier during the home buying and selling process?
So basically just kind of being with your client through that whole process and just making sure that they understand like what's next. So it's kind of like if you go on and order a Domino's pizza, like you got the pizza tracker at the bottom. And so you can kind of see where it is in the process. And that's like one of the biggest complaints of consumers is that they didn't know what was coming next in the process.
Right.
And so I think that's really important just to make sure, people, that's going to be typically your biggest purchase or sale that you're making in your lifetime. And so just making sure that people understand exactly, what their role is and what comes next in that process so that they're prepared.
Yeah,
So I have checklists. I have checklists for my checklist, for contract to closing and for marketing, like for listings and stuff too. So
that right there, I can guarantee that's a big reason why you're successful, because of those little extra things that you do. I'm sure there are a lot of real estate agents that do some of those things, but it's going the extra mile for people, and that makes all the difference in the world to them. How did the pandemic affect the real estate market in Memphis across the nation? And what trends do you see happening now in the market now that the pandemic is, essentially over?
Well, I mean, nobody really saw that coming, what COVID did. Everybody was kind of preparing to be at home. Audrey finally like kicked us out of the office. Because I think me and Elizabeth were like the last two people still coming into the office every day, with everything that was going on. I function better out of an office, just kind of getting like into my space. I don't have the dog. I don't have my husband there, all the distractions of the house. So I know a lot of people love working from home. I'm not really that person. So when we finally got kicked out of the office, Audrey was like, okay, don't come. Then I was working at home. So I, took a bunch of files home. But yeah, I don't think anybody really ever expected that it would get quite as crazy busy in the real estate world as it became. I was kind of preparing to like be at home for a while and maybe have a slowdown in business and like get a little rest. And then it was like the complete opposite. So we were out and about and running around. I will say that was a nice few months when there was nobody on the roads. And I mean, you could just be out there flying down the street. A cop would they are not pulling you over. Right. So that was kind of nice. So, there weren't many people out and about. It was just kind of like your essential workers. And so we were technically essential workers. Audrey did a great job with getting us, like she got with an attorney and got us all letters to put in our car. Like, so in case we got pulled over, we could, prove that we were essential workers. But yeah, it got just really, really busy. All the way through probably, most of 2022. So, and then it kind of started, slowing down maybe a little bit like last summer.
Right.
So since the pandemic, now we have seen where some people, I feel like buyers didn't have a lot of time to make decisions. It's like, if you want a house, you got to like make a decision now. Like if you sleep on it, you will not sleep in it. And so there were some people that I think maybe bought houses that, they're like looking back now, they're like, okay, maybe this isn't the best fit. And so there are still some people kind of transitioning, just because they made a decision so quickly, or maybe their life has, different things come up and happen and change. So there's, still some people looking to make transitions, after that. And then right now we're a little bit slower, interest rates, people are really concerned about interest rates. I mean, my first house was at 6.5%. So to me, like, these are just normal rates. Sure. Our parents, I don't know about your parents, but my parents had double-digit interest rates and we're like happy to have them back in the 80s. So it's just kind of all like what what you've kind of seen in your life as to what's normal. But honestly, these rates aren't bad. Some people are doing ARMs to get, a lower rate that's locked in for maybe 5-7 years, something like that. So that, when we see lower rates afterwards, they can refinance, or a lot of times people don't even stay in a house necessarily that long. I have a lot of people that, transition on a regular basis, like every 3 to 5 years. So, I mean, there's definitely options out there that still, make buying attractive. And here in our market, rent is so high. I mean, it's just still better to buy a house. And then, I mean, rent's 100% interest. I mean, you're paying somebody else's mortgage at that point. So me and my husband have rental homes, so I'm grateful for people that rent, but it's, just depending on your financial situation, that may not always be the best decision. And statistically, people that own homes have way more just generational wealth. So if you look at, what people's equity is in their house, that's a huge difference between renters and owners of homes.
$88,351,429. That number might sound familiar to you because according to your husband, that's the amount of real estate you sold on your own between 2021 and 2022. I mean, that's beyond incredible. How the heck did you do that?
I work a lot. So yeah, you can ask my husband. He doesn't always get to see me as much as he wants. So that's one thing that's kind of nice about the market right now, is it's a little bit slower. And so I can kind of, spend a little bit more time with him at home and with the dogs. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just, focus and dedication and grit and just work and stay on top of everything. And I've got a lot of systems in place that really help me, save a lot of time in my processes. Like when you do some of the same things over and over, that's always helpful, just to have implemented some systems into like your whole process.
Right. There's so many agents now that are doing reels and short clips. And I have to tell you, I love looking at real estate reels. It's some really creative marketing. I talked to my friend and real estate agent, Shannon McWaters, about this around 6 months ago, and want to get your thoughts on it too. How has social media changed real estate in a positive way over the last 5 to 10 years, in your opinion?
So social media, I mean, really, if you're not on social media and making videos right now, I mean, it's hard to be relevant, and it's going to be harder and harder. So to me, social media and doing videos is pretty much a necessity at this point. But, I like to do educational pieces. So just kind of have information out to the public that, for buyers and sellers, that would be helpful to them. So that's kind of like where I focus my social media videos. And then obviously we roll out for like new listings and post those. And then I'm also doing highlight clips of like neighborhoods, just to kind of share information about different areas. So people that are relocating from outside of Memphis, it just gives them a better like view into, okay, what does this neighborhood look like versus this other neighborhood over here?
You said, quote, "My goal as an agent is to educate you on the buying process and keep you informed of all homes on the market that fit your needs, including foreclosures and for sale by owners. I will email you the new listings the day they come in the market. I will negotiate the best price for your home," unquote. I mentioned a few minutes ago, Audrey said that, you have the desire to do right by your clients. I've always believed in sales for many years that most of the time people can spot a phony salesperson. All those things that I mentioned that you said that you do are a big part of the process, but it goes much more than just giving your clients, email list and home details. You also said, quote, "I work hard for my clients, whether they are buyers or sellers, to help them achieve their goals and their established timeframes," unquote. A huge key to success has to be the clients knowing that you truly do care about them and helping them get what's best for them. What do you think?
Yeah, I've had, I mean, multiple instances where I had somebody, really interested in purchasing a home. And, I've kind of had to be like, I don't think this is the best idea. And like, here's the reasons why. Um, so like, for example, in a market where everything was selling and selling quickly, sometimes homes that would be, I don't know, on busy streets or just different factors that might affect the resale value of that property. Um, even though that house is going to sell quickly, like 2 years ago, like now some of those homes are starting to sit on the market a little bit longer. But I mean, I've definitely taught people out of buying, or maybe where it didn't make sense, like maybe they just weren't going to be in town long enough that, if you're not interested in keeping this property as a potential like investment property for rent later, then you might be better off paying rent for a year if that's how long you're going to be here. So it just kind of depends on everyone's situation, but I just tell everybody, truthfully what I think it would, make sense for them. And so sometimes they just don't like see the other side of it. And so it's helpful to kind of have that other opinion. And then obviously at the end of the day, it's up to them, what they want to do. And, somebody wants to buy a house, they can buy that house. But
Right.
I'm not there. I'm not the one that's trying to talk people into buying a house just so I can get paid a commission. So definitely looking out for everyone's best interest and just making sure that they're going to be in a house that, I feel like they're going to be happy in.
And this goes into the second testimonial I want to read. Quote, "You have restored my faith in realtors, and we do thank you for your hard work and organizational skills. I truly did feel like you had our best interest at heart," unquote. That was from one of your clients named Ryan. Another key aspect of success he mentioned was you being organized, being on top of everything. How much has that helped you in your business?
I mean, that's really important. I've been on the other side of, say, agents, that are involved, say, in a transaction that I'm in with them. I mean, timelines are really important in a contract. And I've had agents on the other side miss timelines. And I'm like, yeah, your buyer's not getting their earnest money back because these things like, and they just have no clue that they were like outside of the timeline that was in the contract for that particular thing. So everything has deadlines. So you need an agent that, obviously knows what the contract says and then is going to be aware of those deadlines and then keep you within those deadlines. Or if for some reason you can't make a decision within that time frame, like get you an extension in writing for that deadline. So, I've seen, and I always kind of feel bad for the other agent and for their buyer. But, at the end of the day, my job is to represent whichever side that I'm on. And so I'm just going to make sure that my side is like covered and protected. So that's one of the big things I would say. Sometimes agents just like, especially when everything was so busy, like everybody was just kind of flying by the seat of their pants and didn't seem to have like maybe a checklist that they were going by and just trying to go by memory. And that's really hard when you have a lot of transactions going on. So and sometimes as an agent, like I'm kind of keeping, like making sure the mortgage company meets their deadlines, making sure the attorney's office meets their deadline. We're getting title work. Does title work look good? I mean, just because the attorney's office got title work in and then they haven't looked at it in 2 weeks, that if we have a last minute issue, like that's going to be a problem.
Right.
So just asking a lot of questions and kind of staying on top of everybody that's in that process all along the way, even if it's not your job or
Right.
not on your, you got to do what you got to do to make sure it closes.
There are a lot of brand new people right now that are out there that are getting into real estate. The market isn't like it was over the last few years, just like you talked about, but it's still good.
Mhm.
Real estate is like everything else. It has its ebbs and flows. What pieces of advice would you give a brand new real estate agent right now who's just starting out?
Oh, so actually I had a networking event last night. And so somebody asked me, because I think she's relatively new in real estate, maybe a year. And so she was like, well, what are your, words of wisdom?
Nice.
And she had said, I guess another agent told her, like, don't quit. And I can't even remember what I told her now, but my words of advice, I just think that you have to just really make sure that you have like your client's best interest in mind and that you're staying, on top of like every step of the process. Because that's where I see a lot of transactions fall apart. Agents that maybe just don't know exactly what's in the contract, or they don't know that they need to do this form, or they don't know that they need to do this form, or maybe they're like, hey, verbally, we agreed on whatever, but everything really just needs to be in writing. So just, yeah, just making sure that you like education is a big thing for me. Because I'm always like, even though I've been doing this 20 years, like I love classes, and I'm a little partial to CRS classes because that's a designation that I have. And so I think the CRS education is like excellent. And so I always tell like new agents that come ask me, like, what should I be doing with my time right now? If you're not like prospecting, then maybe go out there and get some more education and take some classes. So that's a big thing.
In 2021, there were over 1,600,000 real estate agents in the United States. You finished number 72 in America for individual transactions. In your career, you've sold over 2,000 homes on your own. You're still very young. You have a lot of years ahead of you in the business. And I know you don't do it for the recognition, but it has to feel good knowing you already have achieved a lot of success. And the main thing is that you've helped so many people, be able to get into their home, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always nice. You go through like this real estate transaction and you're spending like all this time with somebody, and then it's kind of like it's a bittersweet moment when they close because you're like, you're gonna miss me. You can call me, I'll call you.
Right.
And so that's always, but yeah, it's nice just, that's people's biggest investments. And especially like when the market was so crazy. It was really cool to see people that had bought homes, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, or even like 2 years ago, and then what they were able to sell those homes for, and like the just young families that just got a great start in their lives with just, I mean, how much money they were able to profit from the sale. And then they were moving on to, maybe other places. I work with a lot of medical residents that come in and out of Memphis. And so that was really just neat to see, especially with a lot of my residents, just what they were able to achieve just wealth wise in such a short period of time. And so it's always kind of nice. I try to stay in touch and like, friend people on social media
Nice.
after, and then I can kind of see, what's going on with them and that kind of thing.
I used to tell my salespeople in my mattress business, when someone's coming in to buy a mattress, a lot of times it's the first time they've ever done that. They've never done, and so in the home selling business and the home, like what you do, a lot of people that you sell are first time, home buyers.
Mhm.
And you've gone through so many closings and everything. It's so natural to you. It's second nature, but it's the first time many of these people have ever done that before. And I always tell them, you have to remember that enthusiasm for those people, what they have, like, oh my gosh, we have our first home. It just has to be such an exciting time for people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, especially when you can be a homeowner and not have to pay rent anymore. And then even for people that aren't first time buyers, I mean, this isn't something you do every 6 months typically. Or if it is, call me. I would love to be your agent.
Yeah.
Uh, but when it's been 5-10 years, and then obviously, things change, the contract changes every year typically. So even if you're doing it somewhat regular, it's a big investment, and it's just a lot to like keep up with and know.
Right. Quote, Christmas is about giving, and our Christmas party gave a 10-year-old precious young lady, London, her mom and grandmother, a trip to London, England. We had 80 people that all participated in making this happen yesterday. Thank you for everyone that made London's dream come true. We had lots of men crying. Hashtag London to London, unquote. Trainer said that. And, tell us a little bit about, what you and your husband Trainer did. Y'all had this idea, how it got started, that amazing evening, which I thankfully got to be a part of. It's a wonderful story. And I believe it started with God.
Yeah, so Trainer, I think I actually was not with him. I think maybe him and his mom were having breakfast or lunch somewhere. I'm not sure which. They eat out a lot together. So they were out and Trainer just saw London and she kind of caught his eye. So she's a beautiful young girl. And I think she had some London earrings on, and maybe she was carrying like a purse that said London. And he just kind of started talking to her and he walked up and he was like, I think you need some money to put in that purse, and like gave her some money. And so she was so excited. And they kind of started talking. It's always been her dream to go to London. And so he just kind of got the mom's number and just kind of started in his head. He's like, how can we make this happen? Like, let's get London to London. And so we do a Christmas party every year. And so just kind of opened it up to, if people wanted to help give to that that would be, what we were going to do that year. A lot of times we might just through different people, we'll usually try to find, a St. Jude or like a Le Bonheur child or, somebody to kind of take shopping for Christmas usually. And so this was what, I guess, instead of that, we did this year or this past year. So, but it was really special and a lot of people participated.
It was awesome. Yeah, and when he said dry eyes, it was hard. That's an emotional night, seeing the happiness and that whole family. And I guess they're about to leave here in a few weeks.
They are, yes.
It's very exciting. You mentioned Dior earlier. I knew the three of us were going to become close friends when I found out what huge dog lovers you guys were. And you mentioned the Humane Society of Pulaski County, Arkansas, February 5th, just about a month ago, saved a beautiful doggie who had been at the shelter since last August. You said, quote, "Meet Dior, our newest family member," unquote. I know you talked about the energy, but that Dior has, but just tell us, about what else that Dior has brought to you guys just in the last month that you've had him.
It's just nice having, a dog again in the house. We lost our guy. Sorry. Almost a year ago. So it's been, just a lot of fun, like having him. And even, so even after we lost Grizz, we would still like do our morning walks after our workout and all of that. So that was fun. But yeah, so it, kind of forces us to do our walks, even though we were going out like when it was all those 5-degree temperatures, we were still kind of out walking. But maybe not so much every day when it would rain. And so now, like, even if it rains or whatever we're doing, like, we'll make sure to get him out and for his walk. Of course, he's obsessed with balls, which I'm hoping it will dry up soon because it's been raining so much lately. I kind of hate to go out there and throw the ball with him. So I've been hoping he will gravitate more towards walking, like on the sidewalk and not running through the mud to chase the ball. But
right.
He still likes to go outside. So I think Trainer does that mostly with him during the day.
Unconditional loves that dogs bring throughout our lives is just unbelievable. I mean, it's just amazing. So I've had so many dogs. I know the emotion that you've gone through and losing them, and and thinking about that happening with my three just makes me sick inside. But the love that we have, that we get from them, and the love that we give them, even though it's the worst at the end, it makes it all worth it because it's just so much love.
Yeah, and they're just funny. Like I'm sure you saw the video, like, I don't know, he would just like all of a sudden hopped up, like heard something, and it was actually on the TV, and like leaps over, like bounces off of me, and like over the couch and to the front door. So I think he's starting to feel at home now, we could say, and knows that we're going to be his family now, and so he's getting protective. But yeah, he's funny, or he'll just like roll over and want his belly rubbed, or kind of come nudge underneath your hand so you can pet him.
Nice.
That kind of thing. So
yeah, we all saved his life. I know that's a really happy young little boy. So that's awesome. The story that's told about how you and your husband trainer met, y'all tell people that you met on the show Naked and Afraid, which is too funny. I actually like that show. The truth of the matter is y'all met on the dating app Bumble. Now, that was about 6 years ago. What do you remember about your first date?
Well, first of all, I accidentally swiped right on him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then I let him know that, and he was like, "Oh, I accidentally swiped right on you too."
Right.
Yeah. So, but no, as far as our first date, so now I will say he actually has my friend Rebecca to thank, because I wasn't so sure about going out with him at first. I was like, well, I don't know. I'm not sure. Um, my friend Rebecca had actually I don't totally Facebook stalked him, and she's like a little detective. So if you need any information on anybody, I can put you in touch.
Thank you.
But yeah, she had so much information and all this on social media, and she was like, "No, I think he seems really fun. You should go out." So we went out. So Trainer was living downtown at the time in a condo. So I met up with him, and then we went, Catherine and Mary's is where we went on our first date. So,
Nice. What do you remember about that night? Was there a lot of laughing?
oh yeah. I mean, if you know Trainer, he's pretty funny. So that's a big thing for me is, just being able to have fun and laugh with someone. So it was nice, easy conversation. So
That's cool.
I decided I'd give him another, date. And then he kept asking.
One of those things I talk about is, that about things happen sometimes the way they're supposed to happen. And there wasn't any you accidentally swiping right. It was supposed to happen that way. Y'all were supposed to meet, and look at you guys now. It's great. Trainer said, quote, "I had a list of 5 non-negotiables for someone I was going to marry. Even my life coach said it was a stretch to find someone with such a resume. My wife met all 5. In 3 days of dating, I knew I wanted to marry her. My best advice is to never settle for second best in life. You'll always be looking back. 6 months after our first date, you're engaged, and 6 months later, on May 26, 2018, you guys end up getting married at the Peabody in the ballroom. He obviously, after you got to know him, must have met, your non-negotiables too, I would take it."
He did. Like I said, I mean, the main thing is just, making me laugh. And then, I mean, such a great guy. He comes from a great family. So he's got a real, sweet family. His parents are still married too. And that's rare these days that, both people would have parents that are still together and have been together for over 50 years. So that's special. But yeah, we just really hit it off. I mean, I think we were both pretty much we're not, didn't really have any desire to get married, but then the more time we spent together, somehow we ended up getting married.
You said, quote, "My husband gives me so much support. Now TikTok influencers are doing duets about his post that went viral. I love you, honey," unquote. He said of you, "The most successful female that I personally know. I look up to her, never makes excuses," unquote. He told me that the last time that you called in sick where you couldn't meet a client was maybe about 10 years ago. Where does that never make excuses attitude and that passion for what you do, where does that come from?
Actually, well, I don't know. That's actually not accurate. I think I did last year whenever we had COVID. Is that last year? Last year or year before? Whenever that was. I did I had COVID. So I
Okay, well,
heard
that's
somebody
a
was
good
supposed to meet
excuse,
for a showing, and I was like, I can't be there, but I got another agent to go meet
Okay,
them.
but you got it
So
covered.
they still got in the house. They were good. And then as far as I mean, even if I just think it's important to make sure I get so many phone calls from people, and they're like, "Hey, can you it might be my listing," and they want me to meet them over there and show it. And so that's, we're just trained. Your first question is, do you have an agent? And if they have an agent, I really am not supposed to meet, like, that's just an ethics violation. And
Right.
so I'm like, did your agent make plans for you to be able to meet with another agent? And, they're like, no, and they're out of town. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I can't meet you. Maybe you could call the broker of that company and see if they can make arrangements, or, and even if like that agent would pick up the phone and call me, like, I could meet them and I'm happy to do that. But I just, there's certain ethical lines that you just can't cross. And so I've had that phone call a lot, and I'm just always shocked that people, I mean, it's not that hard to be like, hey, well, I'm out of town. If you need anything, reach out to this person. Or,
Sure.
I mean, even when I travel, like, I answer my phone. So unless I'm on just some sort of really crazy time difference, that makes it a little difficult. Like, we honeymooned in Fiji, but I was still like on and off like the phone and, emails a lot. So
Trainer said this about you, quote, a year after my wife and I were married, I went to her and told her I wanted to sell my 50% stake in my commercial cleaning business to help launch a mental wellness company. She never once said, don't do it. And she says, I believe in you. After that, I started taking Believe in My Wife for a whole new level. And I created a brand, Let My Wife Sell Your Home. And I have the .com, letmywifesellyourhome.com, and all the social media platforms for that. I started telling the world about my wife. We also filed for the trademark. She believed in me when others laughed at my decision when I was in the process of selling my commercial cleaning business. After I saw how much that inspired other people as far as me always promoting my wife and I are also in the process of launching Believe in Your Spouse and bringing belief back into marriages. I've taken the lead on that for sure, but my wife is in total support of that brand. You two guys talk about supportive and being partners in everything you do. What a special relationship you guys have on so many levels. I mean, you're so blessed.
yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah, he comes up with a lot of like creative, ideas. And so, I've met with people, or, like, people see me with a hat on, like if I'm golfing or something. I don't wear a hat like on a regular basis. Like, my husband wears hats every day, and he's like, hey, honey, you think you can pop this hat on? And I'm like, it's not going to go with my dress. So no. But yeah, I'll wear it, like if we're working out, or like after we work out. I don't really wear a hat in the gym either, um, but yeah, so yeah, he comes up with really creative ideas. And we've had a lot of like really good conversations. Like the other night he had the hat on, Believe in Your Spouse, and we talked to another couple at dinner, and so she was all about it. I had some people in my car the other day, and I was mentioning it to her because she had like a little button that was like empower women. And so I mentioned it to her, and she thought it was really cool. So but yeah, it's different, and it's, a great message to get out there right now.
It's wonderful. What are the most important lessons that you've learned in your life?
Lessons in life. So I am not a big fan of change, but every time I've had just like a big, life change that happens, and sometimes it's outside of your control, I feel like I've grown. You learn so much, and you get to grow from that. Um, and the other thing is like failures. So even though, like, you've talked about a lot of successes and different things. I mean, there's been times where I've had failures in life, and it's so many people, I think, get so upset and so distracted by their failures that they're almost like scared to like go out there and try again. And it's just so important, like that, like the times when you just really get knocked on your face are the times that you will learn the most and grow the
Absolutely.
most from what has like you're strong and you'll become stronger.
The most successful people have failed many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the people have gone through failure over and over again are the ones that eventually succeed. Absolutely. That's a great
Yeah.
lesson. Just like, how can people find you on social media and, follow you about your real estate?
So on Instagram, Jessica Brown Remax. all one word, no dashes. And then on Facebook, I think you could search the same thing, like Jessica Brown, Memphis, and find me as well. And then my website, mymidsouthagent.com.
Awesome.
And then, of course, my cell phone is out there too. So 901-210-3474, which I think my husband shouts it at the end of all his videos that he does for
Yes, he
Let My
does.
Wife Sell Your Home. Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Or
Great
you can
marketing.
you can go follow Let My Wife Sell Your Home.
Yeah. He's a great marketer for you. He reached out to me about 5 months ago after I had a good friend of both of yours, Mark Goodfellow, on my podcast. And Trainer was extremely nice, really complimentary, and invited me to come to your Christmas party. I'm glad he did, because between meeting you guys, meeting Goody in person, and several others, came out some really great special friendships. So I really appreciate that. Once again, I'd like to thank Platinum Jewelers, who is the sponsor of Think Big with Michael Zellner. And Jessica, it's been awesome having you on today, talking real estate, life, and success, Trainer and DR, and all the fun things we talked about. So thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Michael. Bye.